Hello folks, and welcome to this video for my latest build, which is, yes, you've guessed it, another rally burner. This is about the fourth burner build I've done in the last few months. I'm thinking of setting up a rescue home for old unwanted burners that need a bit of TLC, so if you've got one, just send it my way. This model we're looking at here is a Raleigh Styler mag burner from around 1986. I got it off eBay the other day for £100 and had to do a 40-mile round trip to pick it up, but I think it was worth it. As you can see, it's in a bit of a sorry state with plenty of rust spots on the frame and the chrome parts. It is, however, almost completely original except for the seat, which I believe would have originally been a white air oil saddle. Here's a pic of the only other Styler mag burner that I could find on BMX Museum, which has the same colourway as this one. And that gives you an idea of what this bike would have looked like when it left the bike shop in the mid-80s. So this wasn't the best BMX that Raleigh ever produced. Most of the parts are pretty low quality, apart from the alloy brake calipers and the SR Japan stem. I do like the blue and pink colourway though, with the white components. So what am I going to do with this old ride? Well, I'm not going to restore it, that's not really my thing, and I don't think it's really worth restoring anyway. I'm going to strip it down and clean it up, and then I'm going to rebuild it with a mixture of original parts and some better quality replacement ones. So what parts am I going to keep? The frame and forks, of course. I will put the original SR Japan stem back on because that's a nice item. I'm not a big fan of the handlebars with their double crossbar, but they do match the frame, so I'm going to keep them for now. There is only one original white handlebar grip left, and that's ruined, so I will replace the grips with the only other ones that I have spare at the moment, some black AIM reproduction ones. I'm going to keep the original seat post clamp because I want to keep as much of the white theme as possible. As I mentioned earlier, the seat is not original, so I'm going to replace that with a black Cashimax MX. I'm also going to keep the rear brake caliper. The calipers are alloy Weinmann and pretty cool, I think, in white, but I'm only going to go with the rear brake as usual. The original brake levers are some pretty cheap unbranded items, so I'm going to use a Diacomp Tech 3 lever instead. Now the wheels. In the early 80s, Raleigh used to put Skyway mags on some of their burners. But by the mid-80s they were producing their own mags, and these are a rare example. They were originally white, of course, but these are pretty stained now. I'm not going to use these Raleigh-made mags because the freewheel is broken and because I don't like them. To me they represent what went wrong with BMX manufacturing in the mid to late 80s, when all the big brands, which had started out producing quality handmade frames and building them up with the best lightweight Japanese and American components, started selling mass-produced bikes with cheap unbranded components. It just happens that I have some 80s loose-ball Skyways in white in the garage, so I will use those instead. I've also replaced the tyres as the originals were too far gone. So that just leaves us with the drivetrain. Again, this bike originally came with a real substandard crank with a steel chainring and a white plastic chain guard. Of course we're going to get rid of that and replace it with something Japanese. Sugino chromo crank arms and an alloy Sugino chainring. I will use the original white Welgo pedals though. So that's it, another classic old Raleigh BMX saved from oblivion and dressed up as it should have been in the first place. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back soon with another one.